Today on Public Eye News, Marquette Search and Rescue responds to 2 calls and champion woman is sentenced for cyber stalking.
Later in the show, I will have your weather and Caleb Brydell will have your sports. Hi, I'm Ross Ray.
And I'm Caleb Brydell. Welcome to Public Eye News. The Marquette City Commission has voted to rezone the Cliff Dow property for multi-use, mostly rezoning this so it eventually will become a residential area. Many citizens are concerned. Chemicals and waste that have been found on the land worries many that it will not be a safe area to live. However, cleanup of the area has said to be promising, and those doing the cleanup believe that it will not be long before the land will be ready to use again. The City Commission has said that the land will not be used until the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy has a chance to declare the land safe to use. The city will continue to remediate the land of chemicals even after the property is sold to protect public health. And 2 calls came into Marquette County Sheriff's Office over people lost in the woods. Search and rescue volunteers were first called into Republic Township over a hunter that appeared to be lost. However, the hunter was found before the volunteers arrived. The volunteers were later called to Hogback Mountain in search of 2 hikers that had gotten lost on the trails. Going for a hike at 5 p.m., 23-year-old Catherine Doucet and 32-year-old Matthew Strong. The 2 got lost as it became night and called 911. The hikers were found by search and rescue and escorted to their vehicle.
State troopers were called in Monday morning to the report of a man lying unresponsive on an observation deck overlooking Wagner Falls area near Munising. They arrived on the scene and found a 37-year-old man from Lower Michigan dead. Police say no foul play was suspected in the incident, and there's been no information released about the man. And 56-year-old Teresa Louise Harris of Champion was sentenced to 24 months for cyberstalking numerous victims in and around Marquette. For 4 years through August 2018, Harris continued a stream of harassment towards her former boyfriend and his family and friends. This consisted of thousands of unwanted false phone calls, text messages, multiple fake Facebook accounts, as well as many unsigned cards, letters, and notes. The judge also imposed a 2-year period of supervised release and a $10,000 fine after the prison sentence.
A police chase in Niagara, Wisconsin yesterday has left a Minnesota man arrested. 37-year-old Dieter Soderbeer of Minnesota led the police on a pursuit in a stolen pickup truck that was taken from Tomahawk, Wisconsin. The suspect was stopped in Niagara and was ordered out of the truck on Highway 8 in Merrimack County, but was uncooperative. The owner of the vehicle had left a pistol in the truck, so police were advised that the thief may be armed. The operator of the vehicle was eventually taken into custody without incident for narcotic charges, auto theft, and driving without an active license. And a house fire in the Felch area has caused a man to lose everything, including his dogs. On Friday around 1 p.m., the Felch Township Fire Department responded to a call of a house on fire. When the fire department arrived, the majority of the house was already in flames. Jim Clement, the owner of the home, was away when he believed that a wood stove may have caused the fire. Currently unknown is how many dogs were in the home when it was perished, killing them. A GoFundMe page was set up to raise money for the Felch area man who did not have home insurance. And after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news. Stay tuned.
By noon, we had conceded that the town had basically burned down.
The plan was completely overwhelmed by circumstances, but I think those circumstances were not unprecedented.
And I told my husband, I'm like, I can't run through fire. And he said, you're gonna have to.
They've been on probation, they violated the probation. If PG&E was an individual and not a corporation, I think by now they would be in prison.
Tonight at 10 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back. Millions of Northern Californians are without power as the state's biggest utility began another round of fire prevention blackouts that led to some without power for 5 days or longer on Tuesday. The shutoffs are aimed at keeping wind-blown electrical equipment from sparking wildfires, which came after fire crews raced to contain 2 major blazes in California. This left millions furious and angry, as the blackout would affect nearly 600,000 customers in 29 counties, or about 1.5 million people. The blackout Tuesday marked the 4th this month. And prosecutors want a former student from Korea to return to the U.S. to face an involuntary manslaughter charge after her college boyfriend died by suicide. Mo Langi is at Boston College, where the couple went to school.
Miss Yu was physically, verbally, and psychologically abusive toward Mr. Ortula during their 18-month-long relationship.
Suffolk County District Attorney Rachel Rollins claims 21-year-old In-Young Yu encouraged her boyfriend, Alexander Urtula, to kill himself thousands of times.
Abuse became more frequent and more powerful in the days and hours leading up to Mr. Urtula's untimely death.
According to prosecutors, the Boston College students exchanged 75,000 text messages in the 2 months leading up to Urtula's death. 47,000 of those texts allegedly came from Yu and included messages like, "Go kill yourself" and "Go die."
Many of the messages clearly display the power dynamic in the relationship.
The district attorney's office says Yu was aware of Urtula's spiraling depression and suicidal thoughts brought on by her abuse. She's now facing one charge of involuntary manslaughter. It's the same charge in the same state that sent Michelle Carter to jail after she was found guilty for the 2014 suicide of her friend Conrad Roy. Massachusetts prosecutors alleged Carter relentlessly encouraged the teen to kill himself over text. Her attorneys are appealing her conviction to the U.S. Supreme Court.
This indictment would not have been filed if it were not for the Michelle Carter case.
But CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman says this case is different because of its international scope.
The fact that the defendant is in South Korea is going to make this case much more complicated. If she wants to go through the process of contesting extradition, it could take years to get her here.
In the Shiite city of holy city of Karbala, masked gunmen have opened fire into crowds of anti-government protesters. The demonstrations were abruptly interrupted by one of the deadliest single attacks in a while that has killed 18 so far and wounded hundreds more. The Iraqi protesters took to the streets for the 5th day in a row after a break and were met with the overnight attack. Since the unrest began, 240 people have been killed protesting the government over corruption and other things such as jobs. Similar protests are going on across Iraq and Lebanon, and violence is striking across the area. The masked gunmen have not been identified, and it is unclear if they were riot police, Iranian-linked militia, or special forces. And for the first time, House impeachment investigators are hearing testimony from someone who was on call between President Trump and Ukrainian's president. This morning's interview comes 2 days before House Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to hold a first formal vote on the impeachment inquiry. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill.
Alexander Vindman is an Iraq War veteran who oversees Ukraine policy at the National Security Council. He'll tell congressional investigators today that he grew concerned after listening in on the president's July phone call. "I did not think it was proper to demand that a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen. The request to investigate Biden and his son had nothing to do with national security," he says, adding that he warned NSC's lead counsel that such a partisan play would undoubtedly result in Ukraine losing the bipartisan support it has thus far maintained. This would all undermine U.S. national security.
There was no anything. There was no pressure put on him, no anything.
The president continues to deny that he withheld military aid and a coveted meeting in an attempt to extract those promises. But the evidence to the contrary is piling up. House Democrats will introduce a resolution this week laying out procedures for public hearings and outlining due process rights for the president and his counsel.
The resolution will set forth procedures that the committee will use.
But Republicans who had pushed for such a vote slammed the decision.
I strongly oppose any attempt to legitimize this Soviet-style impeachment process.
And the White House says it may not cooperate, even if the resolution passes.
It just proves our point that this was illegitimate and ill-conceived from the beginning.
And after this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
Nature's journey into the Okavango continues. In this realm, water connects everything. To survive, you must adapt. From elephants, the architects of this Eden, to the endangered predators. No one can predict their fate in this river of dreams.
Wednesday night at 8 on WNMU TV.
And welcome back. My name is Ross, and I'll be walking you through your weather today. As you can see behind me, there's a lot of green compared to this morning where there's plenty of snow, but luckily we'll be getting more snow later on this week. Looking at today's current conditions, it's currently sunny outside with a temperature of 36 degrees, winds northwest at 6 miles per hour, and a barometric pressure of 30.11 and rising. Moving on to later tonight, it's going to be clear with a low of 26 and winds southwest at 7 miles an hour. And then tomorrow, it's going to be more sun with a high of 38 and winds west at 5 miles an hour. Looking behind me at the UP here, as you can see, there's a bit of clouds and sun scattered across the UP. We're going to start over here with Sault Ste. Marie at 43 and mostly cloudy, going down to Manistee at 37 and cloudy, all the way to Escanaba at 37 and mostly sunny, and then down here at Menominee at 38 and sunny. Moving on our way to the other half of the UP at Iron Mountain, 37 and sunny. Over to Iron 1, it's going to be 36 and mostly sunny. All the way up at home, it's going to be 39 and mostly cloudy. And then back here in wonderful Marquette, it's going to be 36 and sunny. Let's look at your week ahead. On Thursday, there's going to be a high of 38, low of 28, and snow. On Friday, it's going to be a high of 39, low of 30, and partially sunny. And on Saturday, it's going to be a high of 38, low of 28, and some more snow. Well, Caleb, looks like the sun is shining, and I heard the sun is shining on our hockey team as well.
Oh, yes, Ross. Things were heating up this weekend. The Northern Michigan University Wildcats had a great week on the ice at Ferris State University. The Wildcats men's hockey team took on the Bulldogs and swept the weekend with a 4-3 win on Friday and a 6-4 win on Saturday. The strength of the Wildcats was not lost on the WCHA last weekend, as not one but two Wildcats were named Player of the Week. Goaltender of the week went to sophomore Nolan Kent, who stopped a career-high 39 shots on goal. Sophomore Griffin Loughran had a hat trick and a game-winning goal Friday and was named the WCHA Forward of the Week. The Cats were nationally ranked in the top 20 this week and are hoping to keep up their win streak as they come back home for 6 straight home game stretch this weekend, facing off against Alabama Huntsville. And the World Series has really heated up over the weekend as the Houston Astros took the lead in a 7-game series. Starting the series with a 2-game lead, the Washington Nationals had no idea what hit them when the Astros came back for 3 wins in a row. Beating the Nationals 8-1 in Game 4 and 7-1 in Game 5, the Nationals are down for the count, and tonight's game may be the end of the line for Washington. Needing only 1 game to win the series, the Astros are going to be giving it everything they have tonight and hoping to take home the Commissioner's Trophy tonight when it starts at 8:07 p.m. And a man from Nepal has just shattered a mountain climbing record for climbing 14 of the world's highest peaks in only 189 days. Starting on April 23rd, the Nepalese climber took on the challenge that previously had a record of 7 years, 10 months, and 6 days. The 36-year-old former British soldier started his trek with a climb of Mount Annapurna in Nepal and ended his journey as he descended Mount Shishapangma in China today. Having trouble getting permission to travel to China to finish the trek, the Nepalese government got involved and the climber was able to finally make the climb in China. Well, some interesting stuff happening in China, but I hear some interesting stuff is also happening in our backyard, Ross.
It is indeed, but not super close. An elderly French woman just made a whole bunch of green in the kitchen, and I don't mean lettuce. An art piece was found in her kitchen. While it held no importance to her, the piece was a tribute to the 13th century Italian painter Cambrai, titled Christ Mocked. The 10 by 8 inch painting was later sold for a whopping 24 million euros, aka $26.6 million, on Sunday. The painting's discovery has sent ripples of excitement through the art world, and most likely through the woman who owned it as well. And that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you for tuning into Public Eye News, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.